Welcome to the Women2Win Spotlight of the Week. This week's spotlight is on the Right Honourable Dame Cheryl Gillan MP for Chesham and Amersham. Cheryl was first elected in 1992 at a time when there were very few female MPs in Parliament. She has held several ministerial positions, sat on several select committees and was most recently Secretary of State for Wales. Enjoy the video. Hi Cheryl, thank you so much for joining us. Could you tell us about your life before politics?
Well, yeah, I was in business before politics, and I worked in the city, and I worked for an American company working internationally. So I had a reasonably successful career in business before I came into politics.
And what made you give up that career in business to enter politics?
Well, it was almost by accident because I was very active in politics. When I was young, I joined the Young Conservatives because I was interested in what went into running our country. And when I came to London, I joined the Kensington and Chelsea Young Conservatives and the Bow Group, and I went on to be the second woman chairman of the Bow Group. And it was at a dinner just before the 1979 election. In fact, Margaret Thatcher was leader of the party, but she wasn't Prime Minister, that I found myself at a dinner where I was sitting almost next to her. And towards the end of the evening, she said, have you ever thought of becoming an MP yourself? And I said, no, not really. And she said, well, we need young women like you to think about coming into Parliament.
And obviously in the years since you became an MP, the makeup of the House has changed significantly. How has the increasing number of women in Parliament affected the party or Parliament as a whole?
Yeah, there were about 20 female MPs in the Conservative Party when I was elected in 1992, and I was the youngest woman on our bench then. I think now, as we see, there are many more women in Parliament, and that has made a difference here. Sometimes I think that it is still so far from where we should be that I find it frustrating, because I'm not one to go for even numbers, 50-50 or 52% women to represent the general population, but I am very passionate about trying to encourage more women to do this job, because I think women are really good at this job. They operate in a different style to the men, but they bring a dimension to our policy making, to our debate, and to the process of government, which I think is really important. And I still don't think that women have a strong enough voice, although I have to say I am so delighted to have another woman Prime Minister, and very proud that it's the Conservative Party that has produced 2 women Prime Ministers in my lifetime.
And so what advice would you give to women, perhaps who, like yourself, were in business, might be politically active or politically minded, but haven't thought about standing?
Well, they have to think really hard, because this is not a job, it's a complete way of life. And there's no doubt about it that it is a process of immersion that you go through. You're almost never off duty. And it's not just you that has to do this job. I'm afraid it's a job where your family gets involved and your wider group of friends. At election time, I've often asked my friends, maybe some of them haven't been always Conservative, if they'll come out and support me, and they often have.
I was just going to ask, you were the youngest woman on the bench at the time. What would you say to younger women who, might be thinking that they're too young to stand, or that they need to wait till they're more experienced?
Well, I think you do have to have some experience. Although I was the youngest woman on my benches, I was 39 years of age when I came in here. So my advice always to young people that are interested in politics is maintain your interest, be active in politics, join a party, but go out there and do something else so you're bringing something to Parliament. Parliament and being an MP should not be the interim job that you then go on and do greater things afterwards in that sense. It really should be something that is the end in itself, I think. So if it's possible to organise your life, although politics is a lottery in many ways, and there is no exact science on getting elected or becoming an MP, but if you bring some job experience, life experience, something which adds a different dimension to the wonderful makeup of the House of Parliament across all the parties, I think you've then got something to draw on as an individual in what is a very stressful job these days.
That's really good to know. And finally, you've obviously had a very successful and long career in Parliament so far. What's been the one thing that you think you've been able to achieve here that this platform has given you that you might not have been able to achieve outside politics?
To be able to make a difference to people's lives, to be able to support people in a way that they can't support themselves, I think is really important. And also to be able to bring in legislation. I brought in, for example, the Autism Act from a private member's bill that I was told was not going to succeed by the Labour government of the time, but through determination and I like to think a little bit of skill, but also a lot of support across the parties and across the country, we were able to get the only disability-specific piece of legislation on the statute book, which we're building on now. So to have the opportunity to do that and be a lawmaker is really special.